The sky above was dark red, covered in smoke and burning clouds. Alien warships circled like hungry birds. Buildings collapsed. Fire swallowed streets. The once beautiful capital of Varelian Prime was dying. People ran, screamed, cried, but one figure walked calmly through the chaos. A hooded man. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and silent. His cloak was dark, like shadows themselves had wrapped around him. His boots didn't make a sound on the cracked stone. Fire danced around him but didn't touch him. Aliens moved aside without knowing why. Some stared in fear, others dropped their weapons. Whispers spread like wind. He's the human. He doesn't belong here. Why aren't the flames touching him? On top of the city's tallest wall, Commander Rayla stood with her elite guards. Her golden armor shined, even through the dust and blood. She was proud, powerful, and feared by all. Her voice could silence entire rooms. But now, even she was confused. Her eyes locked onto the hooded man below. She had seen soldiers, rebels, and invaders, but never someone like this. He walked straight toward the palace ruins like he had no fear, like he owned the ground beneath him. "Who is he?" Rayla whispered. No one answered. He kept coming. Guards lifted weapons. Rayla raised her hand. "Stop. Let him come." He reached the base of the steps. The fire behind him painted his cloak in red and gold. He said nothing. Rayla slowly walked down. Her soldiers followed down. Her soldiers followed. Her boots echoed on the stone as she stepped. Closer to the stranger, when she was a few feet away, she spoke. "You human, this world is at war. Why are you here?" No reply. Her voice rose, sharper now. "What are you hiding, human? Who are you? Take off the hood. Now." He didn't move. She stepped closer. Her hand rested on her energy blade. "I said, remove it." Finally, the man raised his hand. Slowly, carefully, he pulled the hood back. Gasps broke out. Rayla's mouth opened. Slightly, but no words came. She dropped her sword. Her knees gave out. She fell. Hard. Her guards rushed forward, but she lifted one hand. "No, don't touch me." Her heart was racing. Her hands trembled. She stared at his face. It wasn't just beautiful, it was familiar. Eyes like glowing ice. A scar on the cheek. A calm, powerful expression. Not cold. But not warm either. She had seen that face before. Not in real life. But in a dream her mother once told her. Her mother, the High Oracle, had whispered on her deathbed one day. When the skies turn red and the fires rise, a man will appear. Not from this world. He will wear shadows and light. His face will make you fall to your knees. Do not fight him. Follow him. Rayla had laughed at the time, but now she couldn't laugh. The man turned and began walking past her. Not even looking back, the guards tried to block him. Their weapons buzzed, but he raised one hand and every weapon powered down. Just like that, the guards froze. The man walked through them like water flowing through stone. No one dared stop him. Rayla stood up slowly, her legs shaking. "He is dangerous," she whispered, staring at the steps he climbed. "But not to us." The hooded man disappeared into the ruined palace. Inside the smoke and shattered glass, something old, something deep, began to stir. In a hidden control room beneath the palace, a green light blinked. A sensor activated after being silent. For over 500 years, words in an ancient language lit up. He has returned. The flame has found its bearer. Outside, Rayla remained still. Her mind was full of questions. Her chest heavy with fear and hope. She knew one thing. This was not a man. This was a beginning. Asterisk, the smoke had cleared. Gah! But Commander Rayla's mind was still fogged. She sat alone in her chamber, her armor removed, hands shaking slightly. Outside, the city was quiet for the first time in days. No one dared speak loudly, not after he arrived. The face still haunted her. She had studied every species in the galaxy, read every history scroll, memorized every enemy's face. But this man, he was nowhere, not in records, not in images. And yet she knew him, not like a memory, more like a scar that never left. She opened a locked drawer in her room. Inside was a dusty crystal cube, the last gift from her mother. Rayla touched the surface. A faint light flickered inside. A soft voice whispered from it. The one who bears the star-shaped scar and walks without sound. He is not born. He is sent. Rayla dropped the cube, shattered. She didn't care, down below in the palace ruins. The hooded man stood alone in the Hall of Ancients. The walls were cracked, but the symbols carved into them still pulsed with blue light. He placed his hand gently against a symbol shaped like a flame. It responded. A beam of light shot down from the ceiling and scanned him, from head to toe. The ancient voice of the temple awoke, confirmed, bearer of the flame cycle. Complete, memory access permitted. Rayla's most trusted scout and alien named Laura crept through the shadows nearby, spying silently. But as he watched, the air grew heavy. His lungs tightened. Then the hooded man turned. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He just... at Lorik. And Lorik's knees buckled. His weapon slipped from his hands. His eyes filled with tears. The man walked past him without harm. But Lorik remained on the ground, whispering over and over. He's real. He's real. Back in the tower, Rayla slammed her fists on the table. I need answers, she growled. The alien council sat around her, confused and worried. Commander, one elder said carefully. You say he was human? Are you sure? Stared at him. I saw his face. But we've fought humans for decades. None of them had this power. Rayla leaned forward. He didn't just walk through fire, she said. The fire moved around him. Another elder whispered, There's an old myth from the outer moons about a warrior who would rise from the ashes of a dying world. Rayla cut him off. That's not a myth anymore. Outside, things had started to change. A broken child with a burned arm had been left by the palace. Gates, her mother, was dead. No one touched her. Until the hooded man walked past. He stopped, knelt beside her, placed his hand gently on her wound. A soft white light spread. The burns vanished. The girl opened her eyes and smiled. Are you an angel? She asked. He shook his head once. No, just someone who remembers what it's like to hurt. He stood and walked away, but behind him, something had started. People whispered. They followed him silently. Rayla watched from her tower window. A line of wounded and broken now gathered at the palace edge, not to fight, but to see him. She turned to her soldiers. Send word to the archives. I want every scroll, every prophecy, every tale about a glowing mark. Her guard blinked. Why? She answered without turning. Because we're not leading this war anymore. That night, she sat alone with her blade across her knees. She stared at the scar on her hand-burn she got when she was 5. She remembered now. A stranger had saved her from that fire. He had the same eyes, the same face. But that was 20 years ago, and he hadn't aged a single day in the heart of the city. The hooded man stared at a sky full of stars, but one star blinked in and out, flickering, like it was sending a message. His eyes narrowed. He whispered to the wind, They're coming. The Grand Archive of Varelian Prime had not been entered in over 100 years. Its doors were made of dark stone, untouched by time, sealed by ancient law. Only the blood of a royal commander could open them. Commander Rayla stood before those doors now, her palm bleeding. Pressed against the cold surface, the stone groaned and opened. Dust danced in the dim light. She stepped inside, alone. This was where the oldest secrets were kept. Stories no one believed. Legends the council called foolish. But Rayla no longer laughed at legends. She was living in one, high above the city. The hooded man stood on the roof of a broken spire. His cloak rippled in the wind, eyes locked on the stars. The one blinking star had vanished again. He whispered, Not yet. His glowing hand pressed against his chest. A faint symbol burned beneath his skin, the mark of the flame, and deep within the spire, hidden machine, long forgotten, woke from sleep. In the archive, Rayla moved past thousands of crystal scrolls. Her hand stopped when she saw one marked. With a single symbol, she took it and placed it in the ancient reader. A voice echoed in the chamber. The flame shall return in a form familiar yet impossible. He will not be born. He will not die. He will be sent. Rayla leaned closer. He will wear a face pulled from memory. He will carry the pain of many. And when he touches the temple, the sky shall shift. She paused. The sky had shifted. 2 nights ago, the northern stars had changed position. It was barely noticed, except by the astronomers. They had no explanation. She continued listening. He will not come to rule. He will come to remind. The galaxy has forgotten what it once was. Outside. Crowds had gathered again, but not for war, not for protest. They brought offerings, food, cloth, old flowers. The hooded man didn't ask for anything, but when a widow placed her baby at his feet, he lifted the child gently and kissed its forehead. The baby giggled. The crowd grew silent. Then one voice shouted, "He is the flame." And no one disagreed. Back in the archive, Rayla opened another scroll, this one older, half-dash broken. The image showed a creature made of fire standing beside a warrior in black. And at the bottom, it read, "One shall burn. One shall heal. Together, they shall bring the sky down." Rayla's blood ran cold. Was this why the stars blinked? Was he calling something or someone?
Right.
The night the alien High Council met in secret. "He's dangerous," one of them said. "He hasn't attacked anyone," another argued. "He doesn't need to. His silence is louder than our laws." Rayla stepped forward. "I went to the archive," she said. "He matches every line of the prophecy," an elder scoffed. "You believe bedtime stories?" Rayla didn't blink. I saw him walk through. "Fire." Another voice. "You knelt before him." She looked them all in the eye. "No, I knelt before truth." Elsewhere, the hooded man stood alone inside the ruins of an old launch bay. He placed his hand on a metal wall. It melted under his touch, revealing a chamber of glowing crystals. He stepped in. The walls came alive with ancient language. A voice greeted him. "You are early," he replied. "The galaxy is late." "Do you accept the burden again?" He hesitated, then nodded. Double quotes, "Then your power will return, but your pain will grow." The crystals dimmed, his mark burned brighter. Rayla walked through the streets alone, her hood up. People didn't notice her. They only spoke about him. "He saved my son. He healed my father's hand. I saw him talk to a tree and it bloomed. He just touched the fountain, now it runs clean again." These were not weapons. They were miracles. But the most dangerous thing? He never took credit, never demanded loyalty. He just helped, and that made people believe even more. Rayla returned to the tower and sat at her window. Looking out over the city, the sky was clear now, but the blinking star returned this time. 2 others blinked beside it. She stood slowly. "They're not stars," she whispered. "They're signals." Far beyond the planet, something massive stirred in the darkness. A fleet. Sleeping, watching, waiting. And when the final star blinked, it woke. Asterisk, the stars had sent their message, and the Empire heard it, far beyond Varelion. Prime, in the black silence between systems, an obsidian command ship hovered in orbit around a dead moon. Inside its cold, silent walls, 5 figures stood in a circle. They wore no names, no emblems, only masks. They were the Black Order secret enforcers of the Empire. If a threat rose that even the Emperor feared, these were the ones who erased it. A voice from the center screen said, "Just one thing. Eliminate the human.
No questions.
No mercy. Only the mission." On Varelion Prime, the air had grown strangely calm. The hooded man now walked freely through the streets. Children followed him with wide eyes. Some aliens tried to bow. He stopped them gently. "No need," he always said. "I'm no king." But word of him had gone beyond the city. Rebels, Priests, soldiers, even criminals wanted to see him. Some believed, some doubted. Some feared. Commander Rayla knew it wouldn't stay peaceful for long. He was changing things too fast, and change, in a galaxy built on control, always brought blood. That night, in a quiet alley near the healing fountain, the first assassin arrived. He moved like smoke. His skin shimmered. He used no voice. He waited until the hooded man stood alone beneath a pale light. His back turned. He struck fast, silent, deadly. His blade pierced air, but not flesh. The man had vanished. The assassin blinked. Then a calm voice behind him spoke. "Why? Are you afraid of me?" The assassin spun, but his weapon melted in his hand. He tried to run, but the ground gripped his feet like it was alive. The man stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly. "I don't kill," he whispered. "But the planet remembers what it used to be, doesn't like your presence." The earth beneath the assassin cracked, light shot upward, and the man vanished, leaving only silence behind. In the command tower, Rayla slammed a report on the table. "Assassins," she growled. "One already failed." The council argued, "You must stop him before more come. He's not attacking. He's with belief. He's dangerous. He's peaceful." Rayla raised her hand. Enough. She looked at the sky again. 3 stars now blinked. Something's coming. And he's not our enemy. An elder leaned close. He will be. The Empire never allows gods. Elsewhere in the city, the hooded man sat beneath a ruined tree. He touched its bark. It bloomed. A young alien girl approached him shyly. "My brother is sick," she said. "Will you help?" He nodded once. She reached into her small pouch and gave him a stone. "It's all I have." He took the stone gently. "You've already given more than you know," he said. She didn't understand, but she smiled anyway. That night, 2 more assassins arrived. They moved like shadows. One poisoned the water supply. The other aimed a sniper bolt from a tower, but both failed. The poison turned to light. The sniper's bolt hit wind and shattered. They tried again and again. But no matter what they did, he was always untouched. Not because he fought, but because the world around him protected him. Even the air bent for him. Rayla watched the latest reports. This wasn't magic. It wasn't technology. It was something older, deeper. The planet itself had chosen him. But why? And for what? She opened her mother's journal. Inside were final words, written in a trembling hand. "If the flame returns, protect him, not because he will save us, but because the ones chasing him will destroy everything." Far above the planet, the Black Order gathered again. Their leader removed her mask, eyes like knives, voice like steel. "He's not just a man," she said. A soldier asked, "Then what is he?" As she replied, "He's a reminder of what? It out the window of what we buried. Deep under the city." The hooded man walked alone. A hidden chamber opened to him and touched for centuries. Inside was a mirror, not ordinary. This one showed truth. He stood before it, and in the reflection he saw himself. But behind him stood millions. Ghosts, faces, children, soldiers, enemies. All. The lives he had once saved, all the ones he couldn't. He touched the glass. "I didn't ask to come back," Amir whispered. "But you were needed." Outside, a 4th assassin finally reached him. This one spoke. "You were supposed to be a myth." The man turned, "And you were supposed to be a ghost." The assassin attacked. The man raised no hand, but the stars blinked again, and the assassin vanished into dust. No scream, no fire, just silence. Rayla couldn't sleep. Not after what she had just seen. The 4th assassin didn't just fail, he vanished. He turned to dust without fire, without sound, without even a trace of his soul. Rayla had watched it happen, and the hooded man hadn't moved an inch. She walked into her mother's old chambers deep beneath the palace. The walls still smelled like dried herbs and ink. Her mother, High Oracle Dana, had always said the answers were in the past. Tonight Rayla was ready to believe. She reached for the small wooden box hidden beneath her mother's meditation chair. Inside, wrapped in cloth, was a broken dagger. Its edge was stained with dried blood. Her mother's blood and hers. Many years ago, Rayla was just a child, no older than 8. She had wandered into the lower ruins chasing a glowing bug. There, she had tripped, cut her hand, and started crying. Flames burst suddenly from a crack in the wall. She had screamed. A shadow had stepped out from the fire. A tall man with glowing eyes, the same face he had bent down, taken her hand and whispered, "Don't cry, little one. Pain teaches. But you are not meant to suffer." He had cut his own. Paulman touched it to hers. A blood oath. "You are not alone now," he had said. "If the stars fall, I will return." And then he vanished. No one believed her story, but now that memory burned bright. Back in the present, Rayla stared at the scar on her hand. She had forgotten it for years, until now. She rushed to the ancient scanner chamber and placed her hand inside the old oracle reader. It scanned the blood still hidden under her skin. The result made her step back. Match found. Blood oath confirmed. "Link to code name, the flame bearer," she whispered. "You were real." Elsewhere, the hooded man stood silently on a bridge. Overlooking the city, the wind blew hard, but his cloak never moved. His eyes stayed fixed on the stars, which now blinked in patterns. 3, then 4, then 5. His breath slowed. "They're coming faster than I thought," he said. A voice spoke from behind. "And you're still alone." It was Rayla. She stepped beside him, no longer as a commander, but as someone searching for truth. "I remember." "You," she said. "You saved me once." He didn't reply. "You made a blood oath with me," he turned slowly, "because you would become the shield this world needed." They sat on the bridge edge in silence for a long moment. Rayla finally asked, "What are you?" He thought for a while, then answered, "I am not a god. I am not human anymore either." "Then what?" "I'm the memory of a promise. It's made long ago, before this galaxy forgot how to feel." Rayla frowned. "But why come back now?" "Because something worse is coming, something ancient, and only one thing can stop it." She leaned forward. "What? You?" he said softly. "You still remember what love is?" She laughed. Bitterly. "I'm a soldier. I don't know anything about love." He looked at her. "You do?" Just buried it beneath duty. Far above, the 5th blinking star suddenly exploded in brightness. Everyone in the city paused. Looked up. Even the machines stopped humming. The sky rumbled. The planet trembled for a moment. Just one heartbeat in the Empire's central. Void station. Alarms blared. A fleet hidden for centuries had started to move. Massive ships, shaped like open mouths, hungry and at their front a ship made of bone. A voice echoed in the black halls. "The flame has returned. Erase the galaxy's memory. Burn everything." Back on Varelian Prime, Rayla and the man stood together, facing the sky. "Do you think we'll survive?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "That depends on what you choose next." She looked at her scarred hand, then at the broken city below. Then she drew her sword not to attack, but to place it at his feet. "I made an oath once," she whispered. "I didn't understand it then. I do now." He picked up the sword and handed it back. "No, you don't follow me." He turned and looked into her eyes. "We fight together." And far beneath the palace, something ancient opened its eyes. A buried guardian. Built from forgotten metal and sorrowed stone, stirred for the first time in 10,000 years, it whispered one word through the earth, flamed the sky over Varelian. Prime had changed. It no longer looked like night. It looked like a warning. Clouds twisted into strange spirals. Light rippled across the horizon, not from the sun, but from something rising beneath the planet's surface. In the streets, the people had stopped working. Shops closed. Soldiers laid down their weapons. All eyes turned toward the palace ruins where the hooded man now stood atop the black stone steps, A storm behind him, and thousands gathered below. He didn't speak. He only raised one hand, and silence swept across the city like a wave. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. He's drawing too much attention. He's uniting the lower castes. He must be eliminated before the Empire's wrath falls on us, Commander. Rayla stood without a word, placed her sword on the table, and left the room. Let them argue. The time for talking was over. That same moment, at the ancient temple of the sky, flame hidden beneath the city for over a millennium, columns of light began to pulse again. The old guardians, carved of glowing ore and bound by soul scripts, moved for the first time in 10,000 years. There, deep voices echoed through the stone. The flame returns. Ceremony must begin. Rayla led the hooded man down through secret tunnels, guided only by the sound of wind humming like a heartbeat. She carried nothing with her. No armor, no weapons. Only belief. The man looked ahead, calm as ever. "Are you ready?" she asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he said, "It's not about me. It's about what they see in me." She paused. "And what do they see?" At her, gently hope. The temple was alive now. Pillars trembled as Rayla and the man stepped inside. The air was warm, as if it remembered old prayers. Blue fire danced along the walls. Statues once silent began to sing soft, low, ancient tones. From the central dais, a platform rose from the floor simple. Made of white stone, it held no crown. Only a single handprint glowing with light, Rayla whispered. The coronation stone? No throne? The man asked. She shook her head. No ruler sits. They serve. He stepped forward and placed his hand in the light. The flame burst upward, engulfing him. The entire city saw it. The people dropped to their knees, not in fear, but in awe. The fire didn't burn him. It moved with him, around him, inside him, high above the planet. The Empire's Black Order watched the event unfold through stolen satellites. Activate the fleet, the masked leader growled. He is claiming more than faith. He's claiming power. Back on the surface, when the flame settled, the hooded man stood, changed. His cloak had burned away, placed by robes of black and silver marked by symbols no one had seen for ages. His chest now carried the glowing flame sigil, no longer hidden beneath skin. Rayla stepped toward him. The city calls you flame-bearer. I am no king. Then be something better, she said. Be ours. He looked out at the crowd, millions, now watching from every screen, every rooftop. His voice, when he spoke, was soft, but it reached every soul. I didn't come to rule. I came to remind you what you forgot, he said. You were not built to kneel. You were not born to obey machines, masks, or bloodlines. You were made to care, to rise when others fall, to heal what you break. Child in the crowd began to cry, not in fear, but in release. My body holds a memory, he continued. Not of battles, but of kindness. A galaxy that once stood together. He opened his arms. I came not to lead, but to walk with you. The temple rang with a sound so deep it shook the bones. The statues around the flame bowed their heads, and outside, birds that had not flown in generations took to the sky again. Suddenly, the clouds splitted from space. The first ship of the Empire's shadow fleet descended. Its hull was alive. It's built from the bones of lost moons. Panic surged through the crowd, but the hooded man raised his hand. Don't run. Rayla drew her blade, her old instinct returning, but he said gently, No, let them see. He walked to the edge of the platform as the ship hovered, preparing to strike. One beam of light fired down, and stopped in mid-air, frozen. The crowd gasped, then the beam turned. Upward, slammed back into the ship hand, tore it in half. No explosion, just silence, and then the stars blinked again. 6 times the galaxy was watching now, and the Empire had just lost its first move. Rayla turned to him. That was power. He shook his head. No, that was faith. Thousands of people believing at once. Stared at him and whispered, What are you? Smiled softly. Something you once loved and forgot. Bearer. The stars no longer blinked. They burned, steady, watching, waiting. 6 signals had already come. 7th would mean war won, that would not be fought with soldiers and weapons, but with memory and meaning. The hooded man now robed in silver. Flame stood on the highest balcony of the ancient temple. His eyes were not on the sky, they were on the people. Below, millions waited in silence. No shouting, no banners, no weapons raised, just silence, because something sacred had happened the night before. When the Empire's first ship had fallen without a single blow, everyone understood. This man was not sent to conquer. He was sent to remind. Rayla stood beside him. Her armor was gone. Her sword hung loose on her back, not as a threat, but as tradition. "Are you ready?" she asked. The man didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the horizon. A second Empire ship was visible now. Huge, ugly, built for fear, but it did not fire. It hovered, as if it too was listening. The hooded man raised his voice, not loud, but clear enough that it echoed through the city like music. "I was not born in your time," he said. "I came from a wound in history. A mistake the galaxy tried to erase. I have walked across dying worlds. I have held the hands of soldiers and children who've never met. I have burned. I have been buried. Should not be here." Turned to them. "But you brought me back." The crowd didn't move. They listened. Even the wind stopped. "Your hope is old," he continued, "buried beneath cities and lies. But it still breathes. Governments will fall. Empires will rage. Machines will try to erase what we are. But none of that matters if you remember." Rayla stepped forward beside him. "Remember what?" she asked gently, her voice full of feeling. The man looked at her, then at the crowd. "Kindness," he said. "Forgiveness. Courage when no one is watching. Truth that costs something. And love that asks nothing in return." High above, inside the Second Empire ship, the masked leader watched the speech. Her generals demanded orders. "Shall we fire?" She watched the man below. Didn't look like a warrior. Didn't act like a ruler. Didn't stand like a rebel. He just stood. And somehow the world bent around him. She whispered, "Not yet," and turned off her screen. Back in the city, a little alien boy stepped forward from the crowd. His clothes were torn, his face thin. He carried a toy half broken, held together with string. He lifted it high. "I fixed this," he said. "Because you fixed my mom." The man bent down and took the toy in his hands. It was a small wooden bird with one wing missing. He touched it. The second wing unfolded, not with power, just care. The bird flapped once and took to the air, spinning gently above the crowd. The boy smiled, and that single smile cracked something ancient beneath the city. The oldest machines buried during the last. Starfall woke up not to destroy, but to record. They sent signals to every corner of the galaxy. He has returned. The cycle can begin again, not with fire, but with feeling. Rayla turned to him. The Empire will come, again, with more ships. More death. He nodded. "Yes. So how do we fight that?" He touched her chest gently where her heart beat strong. "Not with this," said, pointing to her sword. "But with this?" She stared at him, then looked down at the city, and understood. He walked slowly into the temple at the center stood. A mirror tall, cracked, and ancient. The mirror of memory. He placed his hand on it, and it lit up. Not with his reflection, but with the faces of everyone he had saved. Rayla stepped forward, now seeing the truth. He was not one man. He was millions. He was a memory given flesh, a promise made soul. Outside, the people chanted not his name, but a single word. "He'll heal," not a cry for war, but for peace. For once, the final star blinked in. The sky 7, the signal was complete, but no invasion came, only silence. Because the Empire, watching from the edge of space, saw something they could not fight. A galaxy that was no longer afraid. Back inside the temple, Rayla spoke her final words. To him, what happens now? He looked up at the sky and smiled. "Now I go where I'm needed next." But you just got here. He stepped into the light. I'm not here to stay. I'm not here to rule. I'm here to heal. And with that, the light swallowed. Him, the flame dimmed. And Virelian Prime began to breathe again, not as a world waiting to be ruled, but as a world that remembered.